Hey there, everybody. I am joined by Katura from the Lord of the Rings Players Council, which is the group of players that run a bunch of really useful services that keep the Lord of the Rings TCG game kind of fresh and moving. And so today we want to kind of go through Gemp, which is Gemp, not Gemp, but Gemp. and
Gemp.
yes,
Don't make me have this argument again.
teach people how they can play this game for free online, build decks, and Couture and his team have done a really great job sort of adding a bunch of resources, a Wikipedia for the game, just a ton of stuff that's going to make players and collectors more easily traverse this world. So let's just jump into it. Any kind of thoughts on the front end, actually?
We definitely are putting in as much effort as we can to try and make this as inclusive and accessible to people as much as possible. So one of the things that I will be doing as we go through this is point to resources. Yeah, there's if people have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If we definitely want to create the materials to make it so that people are easily able to jump in. So just let us know if you see something here that wasn't covered in the video or something, and we'll try to get it covered in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty good at responding to comments, and we'll kind of work on that. So just leave it in the comments if you have some. We're kind of happy to revisit this in future videos as well.
Right on. Well, just to start it off, then we'll probably have the location there in the description of the video here. But that's the website that the Players Council has is Lord of the Rings Trading Card Game PlayersCouncil.net. It's a bit of a wordy one, LOTR TCG PC.net. But if you go to play at that location, then it will bring you up to Gemp here. And then when you want to sign up for the first time, you just click on register and you make your username and your password. And once you are ready to sign in, then you just do that as normal, and you will be presented with the main hall here. So here at the bottom, you will have the chat. There will be a bunch of people that are signed in, and you can ask questions if you need to, or you know see what people are doing. And the big thing to notice here is the fact that you are able to jump right in and start spectating games if you want. So that is something to keep in mind. So I'll just demonstrate. I'll click on one of these random games and we can see that somebody's playing. They're right in the middle of a game. It may be a bit chaotic to figure out what's going on, but this is probably the best way to get used to the interface. And feel free to ask people questions. If it's something that that you're confused by, they'll let you know if they're willing to take questions or not. But this is definitely the biggest jump off point, I think. Once you are ready to dip on your own toes and start making your own decks, then the way to do that is to come on up here to the deck builder. And the first thing that I want to point out is that there are a number of pre-built decks that are here in the interface ready for you to use. So if we come up here to the deck library here, this will pull up a list of a bunch of different decks. Many of them are starter decks. So for instance, if I open up one of these, we can see that this is one of the Fellowship of the Ring starter decks that is all ready to go. So you can pull that in and hit the save button here, and that will save the deck on your own personal access over here by clicking on the little suitcase icon. This is my giant list of decks, but we can see here that the Fellowship of the Ring Aragorn starter deck got saved, and so I can open that and share it with other people, manage things. I can rename them, do whatever I need to there. But besides the starter decks, there's also a number of championship decks in here. Every world champion and world champion runner-up that we're able to get our hands on is in here. So if you are looking for something that is functional, that is not just an introduction to the game, then those are also there and available for you to use. So while you are creating your decks, of course, this little interface over here is primarily how you will figure that out. Which cards you're going to be using. There are various filters all throughout here that will allow you to narrow down what format specifically it is that you're working for. So if you know, for instance, that you're going to be making a movie block deck, then you can come over here and click on movie block there under the format, and it will automatically filter out all the cards that are not relevant. You can also use this to filter by culture. You can filter by card type. So if I only want to have artifacts, then I can just pull up artifacts and so forth. So definitely click around on a few different ones, different one of those controls to figure out, what exactly it is you want to pull up. And then if you're trying to find a particular kind of card, many times people will give you advice that, okay, you need to include a certain number of events or a certain number of minions or whatnot. But you're trying to find something that fits precisely what you're the parameters of what you're doing. It can be a bit difficult to find things, and so to help with that, the wiki, which I have showing over here, and which you can find by clicking on the in the main hall. There's a link there for browse the Lord of the Rings TCG wiki, and that'll bring you to the same page. This has a lot of tools for searching and filtering through cards. In particular, here on the link at the very top of the deck builder, there is a link to the advanced search. And so you can utilize this to really dig down into whatever it is that you might be trying to find. You can filter by Free Peoples of Shadow. You can filter by the race of the character that you're doing. And in particular, I'd like to draw attention to this quick search here. So if I want to find every card that adds burdens, and let's say that I'm trying to do something for the ring wraith culture, and I just want to have anything I can that adds burdens, this will narrow it down for you and find everything that even mentions burdens being added in the game text. And so once you have that particular card that you're looking for, you can then, so for instance, if I want to add this Wraith World, then I just come over here, type in the name, the title, and boom, it pulls right up. One thing to keep in mind while you are navigating around and trying to view things is that you can right click on any card to make it come up. You can also hold down shift and left click instead if you prefer, but I find that the right click is a lot more convenient. And then when you are adding cards to the interface, you just click on the card over here and it will add it to the deck. And if you decide that you need to remove some, then you just click on the card again to remove it. Once you
Is
have a
there like
deck
an
that you've...
undo
Sorry?
button, by the way? Is there an undo button? I just know like a lot of times with Gemp, I'll like accidentally remove a card. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't mean it. Now I have
Not
to save
really.
it. Okay, so
There's a lot of small usability things like that that we have to we're trying to work our way through because there are some rough edges like that. What I usually end up doing frequently when I am adding cards is that I will make sure that I have 4 of everything, just because I know I'm going to end up accidentally removing some or something, and just be careful around the cards that are going to have only one copy in my deck. The only other thing I'd like to draw attention to for the deck builder is that when you are first making a deck, if you look over here at these 2 sections here, this is for the ring bearer and for the ring. And so when you are actually picking your ring bearer, you click on the left box and it will automatically filter down to ring bearer. So if we are playing in the fellowship block, whoops, and then I click on over here, we can see that these are the 3 Frodos that are available to me in fellowship block, and I click on one and it will associate it there. Same thing with the one ring. So in fellowship block, there's only these 2 that I can pick between. And then for sites, you have to come over here and you change the filter to sites. And then what I also do in that case is I also usually come over here and I click on the sort by site number. And so what this does is it will group all of the sites together. So here we can see that these are all the site 1s, and then down here we have the site 2s that come immediately after, and that can be very useful for searching through the available sites and getting your deck all situated. But once you do have a deck figured out, and once you've saved it, make sure you come over here and you refresh your the main hall, and any changes that you have made will show up here in your drop down right here. And so this is just every single deck that you have created, and it is available to you. So you can create a table by coming over here and clicking on the format picker over here, and then you can find whichever deck it is that you've decided that you want to do something with, and then you can go ahead and just click create table. There are a couple features down here that I would draw attention to. First, that there's a description, so I can come in here and I can say that I'm a new player, please be gentle, and if just to communicate that you're still working your way through the interface, that can be very helpful. And then if you find that you are actually there's only one person that you want to go with, you don't want to make it a public table. Like for instance, if I wanted to play DMAS here, that I could put the name of the person that I want to go against, and then hit invite only. And when I create that table, nobody else is going to be able to join that table except for the person that you created that for. And so that can be very useful. And
are
then at
there
that point,
bots that new folks can play against? I know that there was bots at some point in the Star Wars game.
no, there's no bots at the moment. That is something that's on our to-do list somewhere. But that's we haven't had anybody try to champion that yet, and that's really what it takes, is somebody that decides that they want to champion it. And then once you have your deck set up, then it's just a matter of waiting for somebody to join, or you can come up and join someone else's table that is up here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And then it's just a matter of learning the game and playing the game. There are a few other tools here that I would like to draw attention to. So first, there is a help tab over here that includes a kind of a text manual for how to navigate through Gemp, as well as a couple of videos. I'm sure we'll probably end up linking this one up here. There's also a section here for format rules. So if you're unsure as to what exactly movie block is, this will tell you what sets specifically are used, what cards have been X listed, which is to say that they've been banned, as well as some various other rulings for those particular formats. And then if you are dealing with Players Council formats specifically, which have a bunch of errata and balance changes and such, there is a tab over here for PC Errata that allows you to go through and see all the changes that we have made. So when you click on these, this will pull up the original card here on the left and the PC's changes here on the right. So you can see whatever nerf or buff that we gave to that particular card.
And really, the nerfs or buffs are really trying to like streamline like broken cards. It's not like drastically changing the text. It's fixing broken things, right?
Yeah, for sure. So our first foray into Errata was to fix all of the banned cards because Decipher over their lifetime banned a bunch of different cards in various formats. So that was the first thing that we did, was we went in and fixed all of those cards so that they weren't bannable anymore. And then since then, we have our efforts have been balanced between trying to take cards that are unused because they're so pathetic and boosting them up and giving them a reason to exist, and also finding strategies that are toxic or just negative play experiences and sanding them down to the point that they're not quite so painful to play against. Um,
It's really great that you talk about the negative play experience, because I think coming from the Star Wars TCG world, there's so many bad play experiences. It's like 50% of strategies in
and
the
Yeah, and a lot of communities, and even this one before the PC was formed, the strategy that people used was to make formats where those cards were banned. And to me, that's always seemed a little, I don't know, wasteful. That there's all
Mm.
these cards that we're just going to say don't exist for the purposes of this format. I mean, I understand why that was the way things were ran back in the days of cardboard, but nowadays, I think that this is essentially a video game. So why not give it video game patches? Um, and that's kind of the way that I look at it. Speaking of, so on these other tabs up here, you can go to the server info that will give you some information on what formats get played. This table here at the top shows you what has been played competitively, which is to say in leagues or tournaments or sealed events. And then down here, there's the casual games by format. Almost always you're going to see Fellowship Block on top, followed by Movie Block, followed by Expanded. But you can also see that there's a number of others that are there in the running. Our PC formats are slowly but surely, climbing their way up the popularity ladder. We are trying to incentivize those. We run events every month, trying to get people to give them a
Well,
shot
the
and
PC
play those.
formats that includes more than just the errata stuff. That's also, there's a couple additional cards, right? So like the
Yes.
errata cards are in the Fellowship block, for example, right?
Right. So, for instance, if I come over here into the deck builder, we can see that there's a section for PC errata, which is going to include any of the changes that we have made to Decipher cards. But then there are also V sets. We have released one virtual set, Shadow of the Past, which is intended to be a Fellowship of the Ring supplement. So it gets inserted into Fellowship Block and anywhere else that Fellowship Block cards are legal, which is to say they're included in all of our PC formats. But in the future, we will be releasing sets that are targeted at other formats. For instance, the V2 that we're working on that targets the Two Towers is likely going to be in the PC movie format, but will not be in PC Fellowship of the Ring. And so that those sorts of details will come up. But yeah, all of our PC formats include the virtual cards that we've created so far, and all of our errata. So eventually, I want to open this up a little more so that people can define their own formats, because I know that there's a lot of people, for instance, that have said that they like that they enjoy the errata but do not like the V cards, or vice versa, where they want the new material from the V cards but don't like the errata. And so we want to eventually be able to allow people to set up their decks kind of like they're at a kitchen table and say, okay, these are the rules that I want to follow.
Mm.
So eventually that will that
It's kind
that'll
of
be
a
here eventually.
fun thought. They just want to have broken cards like the Elrond that's broken from set one, or like that
And
there's
if people want to do that, even one of the things I want to do is eventually implement the cards as they were originally printed, because what we have here are just Decipher's final version, but some of them were broken before they got errated by Decipher. So I'd like to even throw those original versions in and say, hey, you want to play with the original Elrond without the rule of four? You want to play with Mirror of Galadriel before it got errated twice? Like, go for it. Like, people want to play. I want to let them be able to play however they like.
well, I just want to say that I think that you guys have done a really great job creating this welcoming environment and sort of. I find I play both on Gemp for Lord of the Rings as well as Star Wars, and I find the Lord of the Rings one to be just a little easier with a little more tools, just to navigate. I do think the deck builder. I always forget what the 5 icons are. It's like a little suitcase. It's like to
Yeah,
me
and that's
none of those are intuitive. I'm like, what is the suitcase one again? Like,
and you can hover over them, so I mean, they do give you a little bit of a hint as to what exactly is going on there.
yeah, I just
Um,
for some reason these have never gotten intuitive in my brain. They're just very random.
and this is something that we are working on. There's in fact there's a guy from the Star Wars side that is helping us to rewrite all these screens, getting them up to a modern standard so that they're not so terrible to develop for, and then eventually we will be giving them all a facelift, and just fixing the UX so there aren't weird problems like that. But that's definitely a big focus of ours.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to close this with kind of a fun little story about user experiences and how they evolve. I was with a little niece of mine, and we were on her like laptop, and she went to save it, and she's like, "I don't understand why the save icons looks that way." And I was like, "I don't. What do you mean?" She's like, "What is this square?" Right? And I was like, "Oh, like that's a floppy disk." Just this conceptual thing of like that user experience is very dated to like you were born before the year 2000 or something, or let's say 2005, and like for everybody coming up now, like what's a floppy disk and why is that the same icon? Like,
I remember hearing a story about someone's kid where instead of where they were playing and pulling up the little phone with their hand, instead of doing the little hand symbol like what we're used to, they would put their hand flat against their head, because that's what phones look like nowadays. And it's the kind of thing that it's like, whoa, like I wouldn't have thought of that, but I
right,
guess that
yeah,
is the way it
it's
is now.
just the evolving expectations of users as they use platforms. But this was a lot of fun. Thanks for sitting down and doing this with me, folks. If you
Yeah,
have
no problem.
questions, requests, things you want to see in Gemp, just leave them in the comments. I think Katura and his folks are very accessible. There's also the Discord. I highly recommend you guys check out the PC Discord. It's a really great resource for
Yeah, and
just
that's linked over here on
getting
the
a hold of
front page
people.
as well. So don't be a stranger. Like we love to hear your feedback.
Well, great. I think we'll kind of call it there, and we'll catch everybody next time.